The next construct which we'll typically look at is the usage of if statement, not the Excel if, the VBA based if. Right? How just like the query which I told you earlier, if the sum, right? If the sum is greater than some value, do a sorting on the runs. Otherwise, do a sorting on the strike rate. Or to make it even more simpler, wherever I put my cursor, right? If the value is more than 50, sort it on. If the value is more than 50, sort it on runs. And if it is less than 50, sort it on the strike rate. So I want two different types of sorting. If I put my cursor here, let's say it is less than 50. So my day, once I run this macro, it has to be sorted on the strike rates. If I put my cursor, let's say here, more than 50. So it should sort on the runs. Getting it? So such kind of thing if I want. So it's like I am doing a sorting based on a condition. If the value is greater than 50, I want to do sort on something. If it is less than 50, I want to sort on something else. So that's my scenario. So I want to write a code for that based on what is my active cell. Based on that active cell, it has to sort either on the runs or on the strike rate. Right? Whatever is the value of that active cell, it has to sort on the runs or on the strike rate. Fine. So now, what all can be done through the recording? Probably the code for the sorting part, I will do through the recording. Sorting based on runs, I'll take the code from recording. Sorting based on strike rate, I'll take the code from the recording. These two pieces I'll join with the active cell value. Right? Just to make sure that our data is better, I mean, without the code itself, I am removing the DNBs. I mean, instead of handling it at a code level, because our earlier code itself should have removed the DNBs. When we wrote the personal macro workbook macro, the DNBs would have already gone off. So my data is clean. So I'll just remove those data with the DNBs. So this is my data, right? And probably here, what is the situation? Here, any of the blanks are there. So probably if that blanks also need to be replaced, let me just replace the blank with a, that hyphen with a blank. These two I'll just replace. Right? So now I'll write my macro. It's just like a cleaned up data a little bit. Right? Okay, so I'll record one macro now. One for sorting based on the runs in the descending order, and one for sorting it on the basis of the strike rate in the descending order. All right. So I'll use again a record macro. Right. So that same record macro. Right. I'll call it, let's say, sort, conditional sort or something. Just for my understanding. Right. I'll not use any of these shortcuts and all that stuff. I'll record it into this workbook. So it will do a sorting. Okay, what I'll do is, I'm saying okay. So that's where a macro recording started. I'll select the data. Simply do a data sort on runs. This is my runs in the descending order. Okay, this has been sorted. Fine. I mean, instead of recording it into a new macro, I'll record it in the same macro. I'll take the pieces of code wherever, whatever is appropriate, instead of writing so many macros. Okay, this time I'll again sort it. Probably I'll put some cursor here so that it will show as a separator between the, because this is also recorded. I can identify, okay, up to this part is sorting on runs, and from here it's the sorting on something else. Okay, again I'll select the data, sort. This time I'm sorting on strike rate, again in the descending order. Okay, this is the descending order sort. So because my objective is done, I'll stop the recording of the macro. Just a simple recording is what I have done. Now if you see, a new module got created, because every recording gets recorded into a new module. If we want it, if we want to keep it as a part of the new module, we can keep it, or we can copy it and get it into our existing module itself. So here itself, let's say in our module 1 itself, this is module 1. In our module 1 itself, I can write a new code saying conditional sort, right, or sort on runs and strike rate. I'll call it as this. Now, if you look at your module 2, this is the code. So you are seeing that up to this part is sorting on B column, that is the runs, and this is on G column, strike rate. Now, the other problem here is, you see it is saying B2 to B8861. So if your data is more, for some countries the data may be more, for some of them it may be less also. So every time it cannot be B2 to B8861. So it's better to just make it as B to B. These are small editings you would like to do. The whole B column, whatever, whether it is 8,800 records or 2,000 records or whatever it is, the entire B column. Okay, now it is saying values. See, actually these are all the things that are there in that screen, right? When you do a simple sort, right, actually you see sort by, right, strike rate, and sort on values. These are all default. So that's where we tend to ignore all these things. But what happens as a part of the code is it writes everything. That's the difference. You see here, sort on values, descending. So we can keep it as it is. For us, we are not that much bothered in terms of probably, because if we try to delete all these, it may have some impact at some point in time. So whatever is recorded, we'll just record it and we'll use it as our logic we'll put it, because I don't want two sortings to be done.